Hello, hello. Make sure we are all set here. Welcome, welcome. I see Meredith, I see Kara again. Thanks for coming back. I'm also live streaming in my Facebook group, Reclaiming Me. I just find that it's like an extra benefit of being part of that group. So I am going to get started here. So welcome to day 2 of Beyond Your Type, this 3-day masterclass. I just want to take 30 minutes each day, bite-sized pieces, and walk you through the basics of the Enneagram. I feel like it's so important to learn when you're learning anything, just to have a good foundation, a firm foundation. So if you know your Enneagram type, I would love for you to share that in the chat. I know Kara was here yesterday, and it sounded like she got confirmation of what her type is. And so that's just the starting point. That's like the exciting point when you say, oh, yeah, that sounds like me. I remember when I first discovered mine, I shared this yesterday too. I felt like there was a hidden camera. It's like, how did this thing explain and give me language to communicate what I feel, how I see things, what I'm thinking? And it removed a lot of shame and a lot of self-judgment, and it replaced it with empathy and self-acceptance, because sometimes we think like, oh, we are like, there's something wrong with us, right? But when I took the Enneagram test and just read the description, I felt more free. I felt relieved of that pressure of trying to fit into someone else's mold, trying to be someone who I may not be. And so my goal for anyone I work with is to be who you are, not who you have been told to be. So I'm going to get started here. I'm going to share my screen. And hopefully y'all can see that. All right. Well, yesterday we covered how to determine your core type. And if you're just joining us for the first time today, welcome. The Enneagram, Ennea means 9. Gram, think of points on a diagram. And as you can see, there's 9 different Enneagram types. So yesterday we talked about the centers of intelligence, which are your head, your heart, or your gut. And that's how we process information through our thoughts, our feelings, and our intuition. We also talked about our stances, which is just how we move in the world. We are either aggressive and we go towards people, dependent and we move with people, or withdrawn and we move away from people, which also correlates with our orientation to time: future, present, and past oriented. Feel free to catch the recording to review what your core type consists of and to confirm your type. So what we did was we took those elements and we put them together in this grid. For example, I am in the aggressive and future-oriented stance, as well as the heart center. I feel lots of feelings all at the same time. And so you put those two together and you get a type 3. I know Kara was super excited to finally confirm her type, and she's a 3 also. So your journey is just beginning. So feel free to go back and catch the replay on that. So today we are going to be talking about the other numbers connected to your type, which are your wings and your lines. Tomorrow, we are going to learn how to put all the steps that I'm teaching you together in a method I call the GPS, Growth Path to Self. So you can use your knowledge of the Enneagram in practical ways, as well as you'll have an opportunity to go beyond your number and become more self-aware. So for the new people here, I'm Erin Slutsky. I've been leading women for over 20 years. And I hold space for women who want to find the courage to be seen so that they can be more vulnerable and build connection and authenticity. I believe you have the potential to live the life you truly want, not the life you've been told to live. I'm an accredited Enneagram practitioner and coach, so I've been trained to type, teach, and practically apply the knowledge of the Enneagram. Today, I want to start with your wing numbers. They're the numbers you can find on either side of your core number. So, for example, like I mentioned, I'm a 3, Kara's a 3. I'm not sure what you guys are. I can't see the chat right now. But if you look at your number and you look on the right and the left, those are called your wing numbers. Now, if you've taken other Enneagram tests online, other than mine and a couple others, it will give you a core type and then a wing number. For example, a 3 wing 4 or a 3 W4. I believe that way of typing is a little misleading. So imagine a bird with only one wing. Struggles to get off the ground, let alone fly. And when it does get in the air, what does it do? It just flies around in circles. Can you relate? Have you ever felt like you're just going around in circles, not getting anywhere? You feel stuck in patterns and habits that leave you right back to where you started. I know I do sometimes. So that's why I teach you to use both wings so you can fly. We have access to both, but sometimes we use one more than the other, depending on the situation. For example, the type 9 has the wings of an 8 and a 1. In some situations, use the 8 wing. In other situations, use the 1 wing. The key is to integrate both of them. So using both wings will help you see your situation from an objective perspective. This will bring wisdom and insight as you move towards your goals. It'll help you make wise decisions. It'll help you resolve conflict and communicate more clearly. This is another reason why it will be important to learn the different types. You will learn to notice the things that are out of alignment, and you'll be able to balance back out. So I'm going to go through each type and how to use your wings. All right, so here's the type 1. They are considered the improver. If you are using your type 9, you are going to become more oriented towards harmony and balance. You're going to balance your drive to get things done and get things right with a desire to be comfortable. You may become calmer and adapting a slower pace. When you're using your 2 wing, you may become drawn towards relationships with others, not just things. You will be supportive and helpful. You will create order, but in a more focused and people-oriented way. So to give you an idea of what that looks like, type 1, right? They have a strong sense of right and wrong, and they desire to be good. So when they are using their 9 wing, you're going to be practical, meticulous, kind of like a perfectionist, like I think of an accountant is what I think of. You have a knack of catching the inconsistencies in others' reasonings and judgment. When you're using your 2 wing, you're socially aware. You advocate for people and for what is right. You're tirelessly working behind the scenes to uphold safety standards for others. So it's still type 1, it's just a different perspective. So here's a type 2. If you're using your 1 wing, you become more organized and controlled in the way you exert your relational skills. You find ways to become more thoughtful, balancing your emotionality with self-discipline and more carefully analyze situations. When you're using your 3 wing, You tune in and meet the needs and expectations of other people to become successful in their work. You become more flexible and responsive to a high degree, and you'll become a better communicator and performer. The type 3, when you're using your two wing, you come more drawn towards people and relationships, and doing the right things now includes being supportive and helpful. The task of creating order and right results will be focused more on people rather than objects or tasks. And when you use your forewing, you gain more access to your own internal state and mood. You create an opportunity to retreat from constant busyness in order to regroup or analyze your options. I know I'm a 3. When I'm in my forewing, I get real creative. The type 4s, when they're using their 3 wing, they tune in and meet the needs and expectations of other people to become successful in their work. You be more flexible and responsive. You'll become a better communicator and performer. And when you're using your 5 wing, take some time to turn your attention inward and seek privacy, and you won't need as much personal contact, and it's a way to decompress. You can still be in a relationship with people because 4s are about relationships, but it'll be at a distance. You'll kind of separate yourself a little bit. You will discover and find entirely new ways. You're going to think outside the box and get really creative and curious. So, for an example, this is a type 4, right? They're the creative, can look different ways. They have that desire to be authentic and unique. So when a 3 or when a 4 is in their 3 wing, they get more charismatic and individualistic, really artistic. Um, but like, this picture just kind of like help me communicate like the emotion and just being open and just like free to be who they believe they are. Whereas when you are in your 5 wing as a 4, you start getting really intense, artistic, creative. You're on a mission to use self expression to the highest level. Type 5s. All right, when you're using your 4 wing, you gain more access to your own internal state and mood. You create an opportunity to retreat from constant busyness because 5s can get real busy too. And this helps you analyze all your options. And then when you're in your 6 wing, you use your perceptive ability and find the potential for creative, even brilliant insight. You become more loyal, either to yourself or other people. You have a belief in yourself that will lead to true courage, positive thinking, bonding with others, and rich self expression. Type 6s, your wings are 5 and 7. So when you're in your 5 wing, take some time to turn your intention inward and seek privacy and the need for less personal contact. 6s are about relationships too. Although maintaining a feeling of being in relationship with others, but at a distance, again, those 5s, they know how to separate themselves. So use that wing when you need a break. When you're in your 7 wing, participate in enjoyable experiences and adventures. Create interesting plans and options. Work things out with people, even if that means disagreeing with them. Group trips, group sports, group projects are going to actually be fun for you. All right, type 7, your wings are 6 and 8. 6s, when you're in your 6 wing, use your perceptive ability and find the potential for creative, even brilliant insight. Become more loyal to yourself and to others. Think of others' perspectives because 7s sometimes struggle with that. And when you're in your 8 wing, maintain direction and stick with it to the end. Finish what you started. Be careful not to become overextended in whatever you do, losing your grounding, and find someone to be accountable to. So the type 7, when you think of a type 7, you think of fun and excitement and adventure, right? When they are using their 6 wing, they're happy-go-lucky, humorous. They're kind of like always on the search for new projects to undertake and something fun to do. Whereas when they're in the type 8, they get creative, innovative, like entrepreneurs, right? They enjoy experimenting and creating with new ideas. So it's still type 7, but you are using different perspectives. All right, 2 more. Type 8, your wings are 7 and 9. So when you are in your 7 wing, participate in those enjoyable experiences and adventures. Not everything is a serious situation. And the type 9 wing, become more laid back and patient. Exercise your strength or control from behind the scenes, not just out front. Be careful not to get stuck in repeating patterns and habits. Overcome how hard it is to get things started and then how hard it is to stop or change directions. And the type 9. When you're using your 8 wing, maintain your direction and focus and actually take action. 9s sometimes struggle with doing what they really want to do. Find the courage and take control of that situation. And the type 1 wing, become more organized and controlled in the way you exert your relational skills. Find ways to become more thoughtful, balancing your emotional life with self-discipline. And then you can analyze the situations better. Okay, I'm going to stop share here for just a minute and check in with you guys and see if that makes sense. So who do we have right now? We have got Diane and Kara. Let's see. Kara, you said you're a type 3. Diane, did you say what type you are? And I'm just curious how those wings help you understand that you can have different perspectives of your situation.
I don't know my type. So
Okay,
yeah,
great.
I didn't have a chance to watch the replay yesterday. I got,
Okay,
yeah, so I'm just interested in learning
okay,
more.
great. That's
Yeah.
great. Kara, how about you, a type 3? Your wings are 2 and 4.
Which is pretty awesome because yesterday when we were doing our thing and you originally were talking but hadn't put up the whole chart yet, I wrote down 2, 3, 4 question mark.
Oh, right. And I think that's where a lot of people get confused too. They come up with multiple numbers, but now you're starting to understand you have one core type, but you also use other types on that Enneagram diagram, right? The wings are one of the groups of numbers that you use. Can you think of a time or a situation or a way that you see yourself using the 2 or the 4, Carol?
Yeah, and I've always called it my Gemini condition because I feel like, and I am a Gemini, so come by it honestly. But I've always called it that because I can definitely feel when I'm in that different person state. So when I am engaging with toddlers and preschoolers, when I am deep in connection with a parent and we're making change, I am this calm, connected energy. My words flow without me even trying to say what they are, and it just works. When I am in content creation mode, oh my gosh, my threeness is like, did you get it right? Is it what? Did you follow the thing or did you check all the boxes? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So now you can see how that 4 and that creativity shows up and how that helping and peopleness comes out too. Same with me. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again and we're going to move on to lines because those numbers, now if I can find the share screen, tell us something too. All right. So the line numbers are the two numbers that are connected to your core type. So let's just stick with the 3. Diane, you can kind of follow along, and I want to help you find your core type. So please reach out and we can sit down and do that sometime. But let's just stick with the 3 since we, are here with that. You can see one line starts at the 3 and moves away. Follow that arrow and it points to the 9. There's another line that has the arrow pointing back to the 3. So it's the 6. And that is just showing you the numbers you go to when you're stressed out and how to relieve that stress. So stress is just the body and the mind's response to a perceived threat, challenge, or demand. Stress is natural and necessary. It helps us stay alert and focused in challenging situations. But when stress becomes chronic or overwhelming, it can have a negative effect on our physical and emotional health, as well as our ability to function effectively in our daily lives. Stress can manifest itself in lots of different ways, including physical symptoms such as muscle tension and headaches, emotional symptoms such as irritability and anxiety, and behavioral symptoms such as changes in appetite or sleep patterns. An effective approach to manage stress involves identifying the source of stress in our lives and developing effective coping strategies to reduce or manage its impact. This may include techniques such as mindfulness, relaxation, exercise, seeking support from friends, family, or a mental health professional. This is also another way we can use the Enneagram. So you may have noticed the lines on the diagram. So this is what I'm talking about. One is pointing away from your core type. One's pointing towards your core type. The arrows represent where your type goes when it's stressed and where it needs to go to relieve the stress. So I like to think of it as like a rubber band. When you're stretching that rubber band, you're putting stress on it, right? And when you release it, it relaxes. I want you to notice your cues of stress in the beginning of becoming more in control so you can be able to manage it. I wanted to kind of include this caveat. I want you to pay attention if you see unhealthy signs of stress, like racing thoughts or forgetfulness, overeating, over drinking, trouble sleeping, crying easily, outbursts of anger, isolating yourself, and beating yourself up. If your thoughts get too dark or find you in a place you can't seem to get out of, please reach out for help. Even call 911 if you need to. Talk to someone. It's the number one way to bring light into a dark situation. I don't have to tell you that stress management is the number one way to improve your health and quality of life. But just as stress shows up differently for everyone, so does stress relief. This is where the other number connected to your core type comes into play. I like to call it your release number. Just like that rubber band, when you go to this number, you relax more and you can implement those strategies to fight burnout, stress, and tension. So let's go through each type, and I'm going to teach you the signs and cues to look for when you're stressed and what to do about it. So when a type 1 is stressed, you pick up the more challenging aspects of a type 4. Your emotional cues look like you get real moody, you feel drained and overly emotional. Behavioral cues may be when you start becoming easily angered at the littlest things going wrong and feel like no one understands you. To release or relieve that stress, you want to head to your type 7. Step away from the stress and engage in spontaneous activity. I also want you to ask yourself, what if I accepted things as good enough? Because the type 1 is always wanting things to be good, right? Type 2, When a type 2 is stressed, you pick up the more challenging aspects of a type 8. The emotional cues, you become real demanding, aggressive, and unapproachable. Behavior cues look like when you begin to feel controlled by your life or your job, and you can't remember the last time you did something just for you without anyone else benefiting. When you're needing to release the stress, try heading to your healthy type 4. Do a feelings dump and identify the top 3 needs you have for yourself. Schedule in some cozy time each week to decompress. And then ask yourself, what if I helped myself like I help others? Type 3, when heading towards burnout, you could pick up the more challenging aspects of a type 9. You get kind of melancholy, ambivalent, and just have this like ignorance is bliss attitude. Watch out for when you start numbing to avoid the feelings of not being good enough. To relieve that stress, to fight the burnout, head towards your healthy type of the 6. Schedule in breaks every couple hours to get up and walk around. Organize your to-do list in a priorities list and ask yourself, what if I accepted myself as is? Like nothing needs to get fixed. This is my client, Hillary. When she came to me, she was on the verge of quitting her job. I could tell she was headed for burnout because she seemed like an empty shell. Even though people labeled her as a workaholic, the thoughts inside her head sounded more like, who cares? She worked hard to climb the corporate ladder, but it just wasn't worth it to her anymore. As we worked together, she learned that she needed to build in time to refuel because she wasn't going to do it naturally. This looked like setting an alarm every few hours to take a break and move her body. She turned her ringer off on her phone when she got home from work. She prioritized what was most important to her and delegated the rest. Now she runs her own business and continues to implement those strategies even in her personal life. All right, type 4. When you're heading towards burnout, you pick up the more challenging aspects of a type 2. You become resentful, you wallow in self-pity, and you stop taking care of yourself. When you start hyper-focusing on the problems of others around you to make you feel fulfilled and needed, you're going to want to pay attention to that. So you need to move to the healthy part of the type 1. List out the facts around your feelings to become more objective. Connect with your body by doing something creative with your hands. And ask yourself, what if I accepted myself as whole with nothing missing? Type 5. When you are stressed out, you might have scattered thoughts, feel directionless, and get real critical. You will know it too when you become easily distracted and are unable to focus on the task or the project at hand. When you're fighting burnout, try to head to your healthy type of the 8. Think about 3 things you feel confident about. Schedule in recharge time after a long time spent around other people. And ask yourself, what if I believe I had all the energy and knowledge I needed to be competent? Type 6. When you're heading towards burnout, it's going to be like that time when you're getting really self-critical, you become a workaholic, will have like tons of energy and then just crash right afterwards. When you get too focused on a new project that everything else in your life begins to fall apart, then you know you're headed for burnout. The 6 is that loyalist, right? Excuse me. So you're going to want to head to your type 9 and write down 5 things you're looking forward to. Look to the future. Use deep breathing and mindfulness to embrace taking the next step. And ask yourself, what if I was as loyal to myself as I am to others? Get some water here. All right, I know we are at time already, but I'm going to keep going. And if you got to scoot, I totally get it, but I would love for you to stick around. This is my client, Angie. She's a type 6 and couldn't figure out why she was struggling to make a decision. She wanted to start her own business, but it seemed like she was like procrastinating and just couldn't take that leap of faith. As we worked together, I helped her tune out those inner thoughts that were making her question her decision and tune into her gut. She now can make decisions quicker and more confidently by asking if it's a hell yes or a hell no, and then go with that gut response. Type 7, when you're headed towards stress and burnout, you will get real rigid, angry, and you'll start getting perfectionistic. Is that a word? When you start having those feelings of perfectionism, and that there's only one way to do things, I want you to head towards your type 7. I'm sorry, your type 5. So this is the 7. Head to your type 5 when you're feeling those stressed out. Create focus by getting really quiet and doing a brain dump. Just journal. Organize your primary workspace before trying to tackle another project. 7s tend to have things scattered all over the place, and once you get organized, you'll be able to think more clearly. Type 8, when you're heading towards burnout, you pick up the more challenging aspects of a type 5. You get really in your head, antisocial, and quiet. So be careful when those type 8s get really quiet. You know something's going on. When you withdraw yourself from people and stop thinking about your own well-being, those are telltale signs as well. So I want you to head towards your healthy type of the 2. Schedule time with someone close to you to avoid isolation. Get reacquainted with your body with exercise or grounding activities. And ask yourself, what if I considered vulnerability a strength? This is my client, Megan. She came to me when her life was feeling like it was controlling her rather than her controlling her life. As we worked through what it means to be a type 8, she realized how she was self-sabotaging and not checking into her gut instincts before responding. She noticed she did this to appear strong and powerful because she believed that to be vulnerable meant she was weak. Now she knows when to take charge and when to be soft. And the type 9, when you're headed towards stressful situations, pay attention to when you get really anxious, scattered, and hesitant. When you start experiencing more worry and become more reactive than thoughtful. So type 9s, when you're fighting burnout, I want you to go to your type 3. Connect with your feelings and spend time in reflection. Again, journaling is so key for this. List out your internal wants and needs and ask yourself, what if I knew what I wanted and voiced my desires? Okay, so I'm going to stop my screen share here again. And what did you get out of that one, Kara and Diane? Mute, Kara.
The studier in me, the person who has this huge love of learning, wanted like all the information in front of me at the same time, right? I wanted type 1 through 9 and all the descriptors so that I could go to the set where I was supposed to be and where I'm not supposed to be and read, think, because I'm so intrigued and I feel like it's right on, spot on. But the analyst in me was like, wanted to go dig even deeper.
Okay, good. How about you, Diane? Did you get any clarity on maybe your core type and what you sounded like?
Well, when I heard Kara, you think you're a 3, you said? Yeah,
Yeah, I do,
I am
based on
too.
yesterday.
Like everything I just kept thinking, oh, that's me, that's me, that's me. But yeah, so I'm like an overthinker and a people pleaser and constantly working and like Kara, like wanting to learn as much as I can. So I was just trying to digest because it was a lot of info.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, I'm not sure of my type. My daughter sent me something a few months ago, which is why the Enneagram thing piques my interest, because she figured out hers through like one of her teams, like a volleyball team, you know, she was on,
Okay.
they figured it out. It was like a team bonding thing.
Mm,
They all got to learn more about each other, which is kind of cool in
mhm.
that way. So anyways, that's what piqued my interest to even be here. And then I just couldn't figure, I didn't do that activity yesterday. So
And
um,
that's okay.
yeah, the journaling, I feel like that would help me a lot, like the brain dumping.
Hmm. Yeah. So take a look at the replay from yesterday. You can always go to my website too. There's tons of info on there too. But
Okay.
even just what you're sharing with me right now, it sounds like you might be in that head triad, that thoughts triad, which is the 5, 6, and 7.
Okay.
So start there. Take a look at those
Those.
descriptions and
Okay.
see which one sounds most like you.
Okay.
And one way I do confirm people's types when I do those like interview conversations is I listen to where you go when you're stressed. Because sometimes that's
Okay.
easy to figure out. So
Okay.
good. All right. Well, tomorrow we are going to, if you can make it, we are going to actually apply this to different situations in your lives. I want you to come with a decision you have to make or conflict you're trying to resolve or um, something that you feel stuck in. And I'm going to show you how to use your wings to get a different perspective on that situation. And then I'm going to make you go to your stress number and then relieve that stress with the other number and see if you have more clarity. So I hope you can make it tomorrow.
That
If
sounds
not, catch the replay and feel free. I always offer, free consultations if you ever want to sit down and chat sometime.
okay.
All right,
Awesome.
ladies, we will
Thank
see
you.
you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.